Okay, Gladiators, here are the answer solutions for your homework problems. Number one is the store sold 472 DVD players last year. The information that was given was the store sold 8 different brands of DVD players, and we know that the store sold the same number of each brand of DVD player. We want to know how many of each brand. So we want to know of how many of each brand. Well, we know the total amount of DVD players. This is our total, 472. We know the number of groups we're going to put them in, 8 different. So we know that this is a division problem. So this would be 472 divided by 8. Okay. So if we go over here, I'm going to get us some room here. So we'll have put 472. Okay, underneath our bracket, we're dividing it into 8 different groups. So now we want to start counting those groups. So how many? We want to group large because I don't want to have to do a lot of subtraction. So if I think of my multiplication, 1 times 8 is 8, so 10 times 8 is 80. That's not going to cut it. So 20 times 8 would be 160. 30 times 8 would be 240. 40 times 8 would be 320. 50 times 8 would be 400, and 60 times 8 would be 480. Well, I don't have 480 DVD players, so I'm going to drop back to, so that we're counting the number of DVD players, and I'll put P-L-A-Y up here. So we're counting the players. Okay, so if we put 50 players in each of the 8 groups, we've used up 400 of those video players. So how many video players are left? Well, I need to subtract 400 from 472, and I end up with 72. So now we can use our multiplication facts. So I know that 9 times 8 is 72. Okay, so I've used up, so I'll put another 9 DVD players in each of the 8 groups. So I don't have any DVD players left, so we can see that 50 plus 9 would be 59. So there would be 59 DVD players in each group with none left over. Okay. All right, number 2 says there are 857 students at the Science Museum in Raleigh. All the students would tour the museum in groups of 8. So we know the groups. We know the total number of students. What is the least number of tour groups that can be used? Okay, so we know how many is in each group. So we are looking for the total number of groups it will take for all 857 students. Again, that's a division. We're separating these 857 students. So 857 students divided into groups of 8. Okay. And we're looking for the number of groups. So we'll put G for groups. So again, it's a division. Let me get enough room. So we got 857. Divided by 8. Okay. So we can look large here. I'm looking right here. So I have 800, and this sounds, so 8 100s. I can use 100 here because 100 groups of 8 is, I can use up 800 students just like that. So 100 groups, and again we'll put groups up here. That's what we're counting. Groups of 8. So how many students are still left to put in groups? So now I need to use my multiplication. So the largest multiplication fact that I can use and not go over 57 is 7 groups of 8. So 7 groups of 8 would use up 56. Okay. And that would leave 1 student still left. This is the remainder of students. Remember, this 857 started off us out with number of students, so we still have 1 student. So far we've made 107 groups, okay, of 8. But what about this one here? Well, I'm sure they want to go see the museum, so we'll need to, even though it's only a group of 1, we'll still need to add 1 group for that group of 1. So together this would be 108 groups. Okay. Let's go to the next one. The school cafeteria serves 700 students during lunch. The disposable trays come in boxes of 36. Will there be enough trays? That's the question. Will there be enough trays if I have 21 boxes of trays? Well, I know one box, and I'm going to draw a picture, has 36 in it. It says that the school has ordered and has 21 boxes of 36, and I'm not going to draw all 28 out. 21 boxes out here, but we can kind of get a picture that we're going to need to count all these groups of 36 to see if it's enough to serve 700 students. Well, we know that that's a multiplication because we're going to have multiple groups of 36. How many groups of 36? We've got 21 boxes of 36. Will give us the number of trays. Well, we did several strategies in class on how to multiply 2-digit by 2-digit. I'm going to use the open array, and I'm going to break 21 into 20 plus 1 more. And I'm going to break 36 into 30 plus 6 more. Okay. So now if I find each of these partial products, then I'll be able to tell you the total amount. Well, 20 times 30 is 600. Why? Because 2 times 3 is 6, and my factor has 2 zeros in it. This array is a 20 by 6. 2 times 6 is 12, and I have only 1 zero, so 20 groups of 6 is 120. This one's fairly easy. One group of 30 is 30, and one group of 6 is 6. So now I'll add all these up. 600 plus 120 is 720. 720 plus 30 is 750, and then 6 more. So the number of trays we have in the boxes is 756. Well, we still haven't answered the question, will there be enough trays? Well, if each student gets 1 tray, so we'll need 700 trays. Well, they have 756. So yes, they have plenty of trays. Number 4, a store sells 1,680 CDs each week. Wow. So every week. So for 1 week, they sell 1,680 CDs. It wants to know, well, how many CDs will it sell in 8 weeks? Well, that's 1 week. Then I'm trying to figure out 8 of those. So there's 1,680 in that one. And there's another week. And how many weeks did it want us to find? 8 weeks. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in each of these has 1,680 in it. Well, if we're trying to find the total, well, I could add all these up, but it's not an efficient strategy. I know that I am adding the same amount, so that should ring a bell for multiplication. So I have 8 groups of 1,680. Okay, and that will give us the number of CDs. Well, I need to, again, think about the strategies that we've talked about. And again, we can take these large numbers and make them very easy by breaking them into their place value. Well, 8 is already simple enough. That's like our multiplication fact. 1,680, though, I can break up. So I'm going to take and write each place value or its expanded form. So I can do 8 times 1,000. Okay. Then I can do 8 times 600. Then I can do 8 times 80. And then, of course, we've got this last one here, which is just 0. Of course, 0 is 0, so that's going to be an easy one. So now, let me go through. So 8 times 1,000 is 8,000. 8 groups of 600. Well, 8 times 6 is 48. And there are 2 zeros there and none there, so I got 2 zeros to put on the end. 8 times 8 is 64, but I only have one 0 in my factors. And of course, this 0 times anything is 0. So now I'll add all these up. So I've got 8,000 plus 4,800 plus 640, of course, plus 0. I'm not going to write that down because we know 0 plus anything gives that same thing again. 4. 8 plus 6 is 14. I regrouped that 10 hundredths into 1,000. And therefore, I have 13,440 CDs that have been sold. Okay. All right, last one. Charter bus going to Raleigh can travel 16 miles on 1 gallon. Well, the distance to Raleigh is 160 miles. So if we'd made a little chart here, EC, all the way to Raleigh, I'll put that as RAL, just to substitute. We know that this total distance from here to here is 160 miles. Okay, is 160 miles. Well, we know we can only go 16 miles on 1 gallon of gas. So we can only go 16 miles on a gallon of gas. So we're trying to see how many groups of 16 does it take to make 160. Well, if we're separating 160 into groups of 16, then that's simple enough. 160 divided by 16 equals the number of gallons to get to Raleigh. So now, well, we should see that 160 and 16 can be easily seen that the only difference between these two is that there's a 0 on the end here. So therefore we know that it takes 10 times 16 to equal 160. So therefore the number of gallons to get to Raleigh is 10 gallons to get to Raleigh. However, that wasn't the question. The question was for the round trip. And round trip is to there and back. So it'll not only take 10 gallons to get there, but it'll take another 10 gallons to get back, which would equal 20 gallons. Okay. All right, good luck. Study hard. Don't forget to study your vocabulary. And make sure you have your questions ready tomorrow before you take the test.